this out. So I'm going live again from the treadmill. See if anybody has any questions that pop in here. I do have some questions that were sent before that I can go into in a second. I'm still getting situated. How would you bias conjugate training to focus on the deadlift? Depends how everything's it depends, right? Depends how you want to define the deadlift or how you want to define conjugate. Conjugate at its core is taking a movement and breaking it down into the technical or physical segments to be able to build up from there. So in true form, to conjugate the deadlift, most people are already doing, which would be block pulls, pin pulls, or any deadlift type of variation, which strengthens and helps build the deadlift either technically, mentally, or physically. So that answers it from that definition. The definition that it's being asked from would be if you're going to basically build a conjugate program, how would you build it around the deadlift? That would depend upon how somebody's recovery is from the deadlift. But if that were to be the case, then I would lay out whatever your deadlift speed work would look like first, and then build everything else around that. With the deadlift, when it comes to the dynamic work, I'm not a big fan of triples or fives unless they are individual repetitions. In other words, if you're doing a triple, you do a single, you step back for a second, you step back up. I mean, if you're doing a triple, you do one rep, step back up again, and do the second rep, and then so forth for the third. So in a way, you can think of it as rest pause. That way you're deadlifting from that start position. Exactly. You're reinforcing the technique for the start position. I'm just waking up, guys. So keep that in mind as I go through a lot of these answers. So however that way would want to be built, it may be a ball. I'm just gonna throw fucking ideas out here. I wouldn't build a conjugate program around the deadlift. I would still build it around the squat, but then I would put the deadlift in a little bit more strategically. So I'll go over both ways. If you wanted to build it out so you had that way, then you can start with, say, 20 total reps on week one, which would essentially be 10 sets of 2 with the step back reps like I'm talking about week 1, and then week 2 you would take that down, say 8 sets to 2. Then on week 3, 6 sets of 2, increase the weight each week from that. Make the secondary movements a heavier variation of the movement on week 1. So a high block pull. Second movement on week 2, a little bit lower block pull. Week 3, a little bit lower block pull. And then after that, go on to the accessories for that day. And then for the other lower body day, which would be focused on the squat, make the first movement some kind of squat variation with a closer stance, say a low box yoke bar, and hit those basically with max effort work that up to heavy sets of 3, depending upon how fast or how frequently you have to progress that max effort work. You could stay with it for 2 or 3 weeks, as long as you can make a little bit of progress and chip away each one of those weeks. If you have to filter out sooner, then I would make the other secondary movement a good morning, to where you would work up to 3 to 5s on that, and then go on to the accessory work. So it's But if you go back again, if it is a conjugate program that you're using, you want to focus on the deadlift. Keep everything exactly the same, except make your max effort work more of a rounded back type of thing. So like good mornings with 3, maybe the 5 rep range. Say 5 rep on week 1, 3 on week 2, switch movement. So then go that way. And then take your dynamic squats and put those into either high bar or yoke bar and drive it that way. Going to jump onto the next exercise. I have no idea if anybody's on this thing or not. I think when I set this up, because if I can see the chats or not see the chats, for that matter, I don't even know if this is working, but this is just waking up in the morning. So it is what it is, man. I don't know if this is a good idea or not to do because my brain still isn't even freaking working right. With zone 2 cardio being all the rage these days, your thoughts on zone 2 training specific to the strength athlete? Just take zone 2 out of it. And let's just say steady state cardio to make it easier for everybody to kind of grasp and understand what I'm talking about. For the strength athlete, strongman's a little bit different because you're going to deal with different cardio demands. So I'm just going to say a power lifter or powerlifting enthusiast. The cardio is a huge component, which is a lot of the reason why I like to bring out some of the high-end personal trainers that we have on the podcast, because the thing that holds most strength athletes back is the same shit that holds back just about every Gen Pop client I ever worked with throughout my entire life, and that they work with as well. And part of that is what steady state cardio. The steady state cardio should be in a minimum, and everybody's different, but just to make it fucking easy, a minimum 10 to 15 minutes a week, 3 times a week. On off days would probably be best, just to be able to help with circulation and recovery. That's one huge component that gets overlooked because of that. It's not going to, even if you were to drive it up higher, it's not going to kill your gains. I don't know how that started or when that started. Hell, I may even have said it 10 years ago. But it's bullshit. And it's probably just more of an excuse to be fucking lazy and not be. But it will have its benefits in your ability to recover. It's going to have its benefits in your ability to get through harder, longer training sessions. So is it trending or not trending right now? I don't pay attention, but it does kind of go in waves. Now, this doesn't, where it gets a little dicey is when you start dealing with really high heart rates, interval training, and shit like that. That can be a piece for some, but that has to be implemented more strategically, because you're going to need to recover from that as well. So the way I see basic steady state recovery or steady state cardio is you don't necessarily have to recover from that. It helps recovery. You start throwing in intervals, especially at work capacities that are pushing or that are beyond your means, then that becomes another stimulus that you need to be able to recover from. So slowly adding that in with a defined specific purpose for putting that in is going to be seen a little bit differently. And that could be why there is debate that goes back and forth between all that. What do you feel? Where do you stand on the science, the science versus bro science debate? With all this shit like that, the first thing that goes through my head is is this really a debate or not? Not from the standpoint that you're thinking, but from the standpoint that it's normally presented into me, like there's these two radical camps that are just going after each other, they're trying to wipe each other off the face of the earth. And how widespread is that? Because what you see on the internet is not what's in real life. I don't think I've ever been in a gym in my entire life and seen any serious debate about science versus non-science. It's just jokes and shit like that, if there's anything at all, which usually there's nothing at all. So I don't even know if this debate is a thing or if it's a clickbait, clickbait, or whatever you want to clickbait. I was trying to think of a fancy name for it, where you just try to make something look like it's way bigger than what it really is when you get to the grassroots. Now, when you look at it, the science side, if you look there, the interesting thing is without the bro science, who exactly are the subjects in any of the studies that the science community does? They're the bro science people, so that you can't have the science debate without subjects, or you can't have the science without subjects. Then on the bro side, or the anti-science side, every supplement that they use, every PED that they use, and pretty much all pieces of equipment that they use was developed and made better because of science. So they're they're correlated, I guess is what I'm saying. So to me, there's no bait when there is that correlation. There's just peacocking, where somebody wants to position themselves, from a marketing sense, as being in one camp and not the other camp. But if you look close enough, there's correlations between both. And if there is the 100% science camp there's, if they're serious about the training, and there's a lot that are. So the old school debate was, that none of these guys trained. More of them train than what people think, like a fucking lot of them train, which helps. So I don't see it as a debate. I see it as um, both helping each other to be able to find the best ways to get. I don't see it so much as better gains, but to see what exactly is working is the highest efficiency to be able to derive results. 'Cause anybody that's been training for any period of time all knows that everything that they're doing in their training isn't, there's always going to be what some would call junk volume or junk stuff in your training, that it's okay. If you like to do it, it's fun to do, then I wouldn't say it's junk. But there's certain things in your training that are driving the results more than others. How cool is it to be able to know what that is? Now, over a long period of time, if you're paying attention, keeping the training log and all these other things, you're going to be able to zero down on all that. But if science can kind of help figure out what that is, then how awesome would that be? Shit, that's um, why are running and walking the go-to health for weight loss choices? Is it, you know, suppose I live in a bubble, but I wouldn't say that running and walking are the go-to for weight loss. And community that I'm in, strength training is a huge part of all that. But I can't see the question for shit either. So I'm not that prepared for all this. If the walking, if I'm looking at this from a different perspective, why is walking and cardio being pushed more than the other ones? Because it's fucking simple. You don't need anything. You just go outside and walk. That should be what's being pushed because it's the easiest thing for anybody to be able to do. What is advice for new dads, managing schedules, and things like that. Advice for new dads as far as managing schedules. I prioritize what's most important. It would be what I would suggest with that is if you're able to do that, then, and of course, most people are going to say, well, what's most important is, the child or my family. Yeah, I get that. But after that, what's most important? And then starting to peel back what's after that and chipping away the shit that really doesn't need to be in there so you can focus on the things that have to be in there. And this is, it shouldn't be a stress and it shouldn't be the worry that a lot of people make it out to be, because we've been doing this since the fucking beginning of time. So there, you figure out what you have to get done and then you fucking get it done. Sometimes you're gonna have less sleep, sometimes you're gonna have more sleep, but it is what it is, man. It's not, you're not the first person to think about these things. You're certainly not going to be the last person to think about these things. The issue comes in when people are overthinking about all these things, and then all the time that they're spending overthinking about all this shit is time that they're not using to actually do the shit they need to get done. That's what drives me fucking absolutely insane. Is be more solution oriented than, oh my God, how am I going to fit this in? How am I going to do that? You may sit there and fucking stress about that for 5, 10, say 15 minutes. That's 15 minutes. You could have fucking had your email done or whatever else, whatever shit you have to get done. So stopping that mental circle of death, I guess is what I would call it, would be the most important thing. I'm going to take one more because I don't want to make this like an hour thing. And I can't see for shit. I guess if anything, y'all can see when you just wake up in the morning, start your day. I'm no different than anybody else. I have no idea what the hell's going on. Usually, if I'm on a treadmill for 20 minutes or so to begin with. What's your advice in getting into writing articles for Elite FTS or similar sites? All right, if you want to write for Elite FTS, I'll take that first. Just go to our homepage, scroll way down to the bottom, and it will have a link that says our author submission or submit an article or something like that. It's real easy to find. You could probably Google it. Or you could probably just ask it to any of the large language models and it will tell you what that is. So that will give you some guidelines on what to do. Why do I think this is important, especially for people that want to be coaches or want to be trainers or whatever it's going to be, is the process of writing. It's you learn first off. So you're able to share what you know, which is a good thing because it will help other people. Point two, as you're writing, you're going to find some holes in what you're writing about. And it may be things that you do know, but you're just not able to pull back up as you're writing it. So you're going to have to go look to figure out how to fill those holes, which is going to make you understand what you're writing about better. So it's going to be able to help you learn. The third part of it is, doesn't matter where it's going to go. I don't care if you create your own personal blog or wherever the fuck you put it. As long as your name is tied to it, you're creating a digital footprint of your own content. So when people are searching through any search engine, which the way I see it, in a few years from now, all the search engines are going to be AI generated or through any of the large language models. You want your stuff to be able to come up. So if I were to search you in a large language model right now, even with a deep research or anything, what am I going to get? Because what I'm going to get is based upon what your digital footprint is, what podcast you've been on, whatever it's going to be. It's going to be able to pull all that And if I'm searching that, say for a podcast guest, potential clients are going to be searching that to be able to figure out if you're a good trainer or not. They're probably going to, if not already in the future, they're going to be looking more at that than what they're going to be looking at the hits that are going to be on whatever that article is. So now if you can get it put on any credible site that would leave a citation on whatever the large language model search would be, the better that's going to be. I said one more, but I guess that was kind of easy. Um, Staying on the large language models is a question of how can you use it to be able to help your training. I'm going to do a full, like, real Q&A, or actually think about the answers before I actually just glance down and look at them at some point, to where I'll cover that more in depth. But in short, the first thing is just start using, if it's Chat GPT or any of the other models, just start using any of the models. I don't care what you do with it, just use it for search, use it for anything. Just start to get somewhat familiarized with it. And over a period of time, you got to get comfortable with it first. Most of the people that I speak to are not using it at all. And so that's the first thing, is they think it's way more complicated than what it really is. So first thing is just get familiar with it. Now, if I'm going to jump in, on the other side, there are things that you can do that can basically design your own training program. Simple. If I had notes to be able to think this through, it would make it better logical order. But if you were to ask the model what the best trainers or coaches in the world's intake form would look like, what would that be? And then basically ask it to ask you what it needs from an intake form standpoint, and then answer all the questions back from that into it. And if it's Chat GPT, you can make this a project, so then it could just kind of build on from there. If you have a specific training plan or program that you want to put in mind, you can put that into the prompt as well. And if you just basically just do that, you don't need to spend a whole lot of time, and just do that, ask it for a template. I think you're going to be surprised from there. Now, if we keep going down that path, you can, the project I have basically spits out everything that I need, and I'm able to upload my blood work, kidney scans, I fucking everything. I upload into all that, and it gives me way more detailed advice and suggestions for the template that I have. And I hate fucking training logs. It's become the best training log I've ever had in my entire fucking life. So I'll have a better laid out answer for all this, but the first thing for most people is just start using the models for whatever. I don't give a shit. Just use it so you can see what it can do. They are not complicated whatsoever. It's just like, let's relate this to training. The basics of training, if you've been doing this for a handful of years, are really, really fucking simple. But if you wanted to, you can find books and resources that go super deep into the weeds of all this, and they make you wonder, what the hell? I don't even know where to begin. This is the same thing. The basics of it are extremely simple. Just get out there and try to do it. I'm going to shut this one down because if I'm going to continue doing these, I need to prepare a little bit beforehand. I'd probably be a little bit more awake when I start. So right now, what do we have promotional wise? Monday, today's the last day of the promotions that we're running now. The promotions change every Tuesday. I think right now there's a band thing going on. The easy loaders. The easy loaders, there's a product that we need to do more content on because those are freaking highly underrated as far as the ability to be able to use them for chains, especially to be able to put in there. I have no idea what the promotion tomorrow is going to be, but head over to Elite FTS. We, like every other company, we need the sales. We sell just about everything. If it fits in a gym bag or you can load weights on it, we have it. Summertime always gets slow. So we need the orders now more than ever. Just launched a bunch of new apparel designs as well. So check those out. Use the code TABLETALK and you will receive 10% off in addition to whatever the promotions are there. So head over there, guys. Sorry this from the mill was kind of a stumbling disaster, but fuck it, man. It's authentic. We take that for what it's worth. See you later. Thank you guys for the support.